Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Frankly Speaking with Vibhuti Jha. Today is 4th of July. United States is celebrating its Independence Day. Now, it is a very important Independence Day because the US elections are coming. This Independence Day is being celebrated rather quietly because of coronavirus, restrictions imposed on meeting people and going to places for that. So the important part here is that this is American Independence Day. It's a very profound day in the life of every American and the world around us that makes America, United States, one of the oldest democracies in the world, while India remains the largest democracies in the world. So there is a very interesting commonality of purpose between United States and India. And we have been strategic partners, deep friendship, historical ties, and every justification is given. But we are getting closer at this point in time. But also the important part is that there have been a lot of disturbances. Right now, I heard that they are trying to remove even Lincoln's statue here because of the Black Lives Matter riots that have happened and the dissatisfaction amongst the blacks that has happened. That they want to erase the memory of all Confederate generals, and they want to change the structure of the country. So the question here is, what must happen to America in this upcoming election? And how do we ruminate over this fact? Is to what America's shape will be going forward. To discuss this election, United States, Indo-US relations, I have great pleasure in welcoming Mr. Ritesh Tandon. Tandonji is fighting congressional elections from District 17, which is Silicon Valley in California. And so I welcome Ritesh Ji for this program.
Namaskar, Vibhuti Ji. Thank you so much for inviting me in your great program. And I want to wish all the viewers of this program a very happy Independence Day, 4th of July. Please enjoy this with the family. And this is a great opportunity you have got.
Thank you. Thank you. But here is one of my curious questions is to you before when we take off, is that California is a well-known blue state, right? And you are a technology person. You're not a politician of the grassroots level. You have not even studied, politics or, what do you call it, the international relations, but you're a technology entrepreneur who has done well in life. And what triggered you to become a Republican candidate in the den of Democratic Party? Is this something like, I sometimes I think about it in this way, that when you are fighting an election, you are fighting to win. And I'm definitely wishing you all the best to win the election. And today I will take a promise from you. After you win, next year, 4th of July, we will do the show again.
Sure.
And your victory celebration will be done here as well.
Thank you.
Thank
you so much.
So share with your constituency and the people around. The reason is very simple. I'm in New York, you are in California. We are having this conversation. The globe, you are a technology person. The entire world is remarkably interconnected due to tectonic shifts that have happened in technology. And communication has changed. So conversation with us, you are reaching out to your own constituency. Share with us why you against a sitting incumbent Congressman Ro Khanna.
Thank you so much, Vibhuti Ji. First of all, my name is Ritesh Tandon. I'm running for Congress from District 17, which include Fremont, Newark, San Jose, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara, Milpitas, and Cupertino. Just a little bit about my background, and I'll tell you why I have picked the Republican, Vibhuti Ji. So first of all, my background is my grandfather, he was a freedom fighter. And in the fight for India's independence, he taught me the value of freedom, liberty, and the value of life. I came here in this country 21 years ago in search for American dream, and I found the American dream. While studying, while working for the company, I joined non-profit organization, which is Shankar Eye Foundation and UPMA. And actually, for last 22 years, I am doing community service where we have built a 10 eye hospital for the underserved people, 10 daycare centers for the underserved children. Plus also in the Bay Area, I work for the poor Spanish community. So my goal to enter into this election is to serve the humanity, serve the people, and see how I can make the difference in the life of people. Now, looking into those angles, when I started reading and reading more and more, because I'm not a politician, the reason why I entered this race, because things have gone so left. The time has come to stand up for our people, our community. We started seeing that the people, they have started suffering, and these politicians, they are working for their own personal interests instead of keeping the people in mind and what is the best for the people and best for the community. When we look into the people and these politicians, what they are doing is they are trying to break technology companies. They have no clue like how the technology company works, because most of them, they are in the politics directly. These technology companies, they are helping, serving, creating products which are helping the mankind. Second thing is, these Democrats, they want to increase the corporate taxes from 21% to 39%. My whole goal is to save that to the same 21%. At the same time, help to make these companies more innovative in the Silicon Valley. So what will happen is they can create the product which is best for the humanity and can help them. And at the same time, America retain the competitiveness, because if you increase and you tax more, they will hire less. They will spend less on their people, and they will become less competitive in the market. And this is where actually I come into the picture, that when Democrats, they want to run their socialist program, they need a money. And this is where they want to kill America and get the products and the prices and the taxes. Another thing is free Medicare for all. I was very surprised when I heard that this costs about $2 to $3 trillion. Now, when we talk about $2 to $3 trillion, I asked these questions earlier, who is going to fund this $3 trillion per year? They don't have an answer. They say that they are going to tax the higher tax earners. Now, the higher tax earner, when we look into the entire United States, they are only making $3 trillion. Now, $3 trillion they are only making, so that means you are going to tax 100% of them. Not only that, these hospitals, which are the pharmaceutical companies and hospitals, they make only profit of $100 billion per year. But at the same time, they are providing best service. What we have to do is we need to come up with a program to make these hospitals a little bit more competitive. We need to work to reduce the cost of the medicine. We need to do multiple things to bring down the cost so that the normal people will not suffer.
Also, so I understand, I got your point that you are motivated by performance of the country. And the country we came to, we are all immigrants. Everybody wants to come to America. There is only one reason for that this country gives you an opportunity. And that's the most important part. Nobody comes to America to live on government welfare. Exactly. Nobody comes to America to remain poor, back the situation what was there in their own home country. But you have raised a very important point here, and I wanted to address that part. The Democratic Party platform has two basic themes, and that's per my opinion. Okay. One of them is unfettered immigration to the country. Unfettered, and I emphasize on that. The reason why I say this also is that Mr. Trump is trying to rationalize the immigration policy. And in that process, he's taking tough steps to benefit America. In the process, there will be some who will gain, some who will lose. But look at the political element of it, that Mr. Biden, whose entire agenda is anti-India, not caring for the minority rights in Pakistan and other countries, but talking about why India is doing what it is doing to protect the minorities coming from those countries. So this is, and he immediately announced that when he becomes the president, he will rescind the presidential order for H-1B restrictions. Now, H-1B is a very different category. It is, they are unfortunately not the voters in the country right now. I wouldn't dwell much on that, but the question here is, what kind of immigration reform is required? Because why I ask this question is, and no Democrat has ever answered me correctly on this, because United States is 3 times larger than India. it has 1/4 the population,
Yes.
has reasonably great infrastructure in place, right? And that's what, and it's a remarkably resource-rich country. 90% of the economy is in the private sector, right? And capital preservation and profitability and innovation, entrepreneurship is the name of the game in this country. And I'm really afraid because I lived in India during the heydays of democratic socialism, where your entire initiative, leadership, innovation was dead because government will do whatever it takes. As a result of which, individual enterprise suffered a great deal. It makes you, to use a very nice Hindi word, shithal. It makes you lazy. It makes you, Sarkar is a my baap. Sarkar is the one which will do everything for us. Whereas this country has prospered and is where it is today because of a capitalist policy. One can blame, because no system is perfect. You can say that excessive greed is causing all the problem, but Democratic Party's theme of unfettered immigration and we will do everything free for everybody is the most dangerous thing that can happen to this country. And it's time for people in Silicon Valley to realize that. And because they are all private entrepreneurs who are growing and becoming and contributing to the society in a much bigger way, not because of the Russian system, but because of American system.
Vibhuti Ji, you have said it very correctly. They have only two agenda. Let the people jump the wall and come over to this country. And the second thing is free education, free medicine, free houses, everything free. Now question remains is from where the money is going to come to fund all those things. Let me tell you a little bit background, actually what is happening today and which again answer your previous question also, why I am Republican and why I'm standing. I can say there are close to 600,000 families in the United States who legally entered into the United States and they are still waiting for the green card. Many of them are Indians, by the way. But at the same time, I can say that when we look into the Democratic Party, they have a plan how to settle and make the citizens of millions of undocumented workers who enter into the United States illegally. If you look into the Joe Biden policy, he clearly says that. Now, when we look into these people, those who are here for already 20 years, paying the corporate taxes, and they're working very hard for their children, families, and helping America to grow the GDP, those people, they don't have a right. Not only this part, today the situation is so worse that if they lose the job, this H-1B, they have nowhere to go except to return back to the country. Another thing, Vibhuti, I want to mention that on the same line of the free part, no doubt the free Medicare, I talk about trillions of dollars, they have no plan where they are going to fund it. But in case if they implement it, all the hardworking people in this country will be paying for people on the welfare. And there are a lot of people on the welfare. This is what they are promising and trying to get the votes. Another thing, Vibhuti, I want to mention that Prop 209, you might have heard of it, ACFI. Yes. This is one of the scary thing is where these politicians are dividing the country based on the race. And especially this is already started here, where my opponent Rokhanna endorsed that ACFI, stating that now admissions in UC and state colleges will happen based on race, religion, and the color of your skin instead of merit. Now think of it, this is right now on the public government jobs, public contracts, public schools. What will happen tomorrow is going to come on private. Based on race and religion, we Asian population are only 15%. Whites are 40%, blacks are 67%. So based on the color of the skin, not merit, and this will completely bring down the American system, where there will not be any innovations, there will not be any creativity, there will not be any I can say competitiveness in the world. And this is where actually America is taking the people back. And in fact, I'm very scared when I see all this thing happening, and we have to fight for it. When we look into this Democrats here, especially in the California, not only with the ACFI, they have removed the requirement of SAT and ACT so that undocumented workers and the people who are behind, they can enter the college without any tests or any requirement. Because of the skin color, they just get the entry. But they are not thinking this way, that this child may not be able to graduate, or even if they enter, they are going to bring down the whole system, where the certain people, they are at certain skill set, and the certain kids, they are at certain level. Now teacher need to slow down to catch them up, or those children will take much longer time. So instead of fixing the root cause of problem, Vibhuti ji, where K to 12 they can fix and help community, they are bringing everybody to the same level. So this make me very scary. It's not worth it. Yeah.
I think I see the zeal and enthusiasm in you. You are not speaking like a politician. You are speaking like a businessman who has entered the politician to do good to the communities where people have come on. And let me put it this way to you. I worked in India for a public sector, big bank, Reserve Bank of India, where even if you compete with more than 100,000 young men and women writing an exam, your pay scale was fixed. Your promotion was gadhe ghode ek saman. You get in line, either the senior dies or retires or fails, then you go up. It has a very insidious impact if you are a thinker. You know, because it had an impact on me, because I realized that I can't wish well for my superiors, because I want them to go so that I can move forward. This is where I joined American Express Bank after doing my MBA, and all that mattered was your performance.
Exactly.
You got rewarded for delivering, and that's where I learned I'm a reasonably good sportsman, and I believe that sports is my basic learner in life. I learn from sports. And I say, performance alone matters in sports.
Exactly.
If you want to win, there is no free goal. There is no free run given in a sporting arena. You pitch in, you bat, you win, you lose. That's all right. That's perfectly fine. But the free word is a very dangerous one. Because when I came here, we offered free toll-free numbers to somebody to call. But that was great, interesting learning for me, that somebody was paying for the toll-free.
Exactly.
So I'm paying for the toll-free for somebody to call. So it is just an enticement or an inducement to somebody to take. And this is the country that taught us there's no free lunch.
There's no
so
free
if
lunch.
there is no free lunch, if there is no free toll-free call because somebody is paying for it, then how can there be free education, free Medicare, free jobs, and free everything?
Yeah.
This is where it bothers me. And believe it or not, I was told by a senator once that we love you Indians as immigrants to this country because you are hardworking, you are professionals, you are highest median income, you take care, you have family values, you take care of your children, you are hardly a problem from a law and order perspective, and you ask for nothing.
Exactly.
So you ask for nothing. So we are a loved community, and we have to make ourselves being seen and heard. So there are many Indians who have been in Congress, but I'm definitely very enthused that people are coming with their eyes wide open. And that's what I see in you. You are coming with your eyes wide open, and you are coming with this. Share with me one more thing. And this is something very interesting, which is I'm definitely asking this question of my constituency and people I deal with. Why is it and how is it that 80% of Indians, if not more, are registered Democrats and vote for Democratic Party? What is it that the trigger for Indians to be Democrats, whereas in reality, Indians are essentially conservative people?
Exactly.
And we are conservative people, and why are we Democrat? What is it, the lure of Democratic Party that we join? Is it the fact that they say, come one, come all, everybody's welcome?
Actually, I can tell you that there is a perception with the Indian community that Democrats are more immigrant friendly. And I say that it is not. And I can give you one example. When we look into today, this 600,000 families who are waiting for the green card, the reason why they did not have a green card, because there is a country quota. And based on the country quota, there is a slab of 7% that beyond that, the no countries will get the GC. But when we look into all our Indian Americans, those who are already here, already working so hard. And what you correctly said, we are paying for others' lunch also by paying by paying our taxes. But at the same time, they never got the justice because they work hard. They they waited in line for the years. Where the people who is coming from Europe or Australia or other places, because of the skin color, because they have born in the different country, they got the preference to get the green card much earlier than other our community people. The reason why I'm bringing it to Vibhuti ji, we accepted as an Indian, we accepted it. We thought it is a system, this is a process, and this is how it's supposed to be. In fact, this is wrong system. We have never stand up for our rights. When we go and stand in the line, people serve you first if you're ahead, people serve you after if you're behind. But just because of the one clause, and this is where I want to explain to all my Indian fellows that if you think that democratic is immigrant family, then look at the 800,000 families, 600,000 families who are still struggling and surviving every day. Democrats were in power in 8 years. They were power in the Senate as well as the Congress. They never did anything for them. Not only this part, Democrats always taken Indians for the granted. They only consider them that Indians are never ever going to vote to Republican. They are anyhow come to us. Let's not do anything, not focus on them. Let's focus on other where there is a vote bank. Then when we look into our Indian community, we think that the white people are, some has a perception that they are racist. It's not so. In fact, white people, they are much more, they respect you much more than anybody else because they love your skin color. They sit in the sun for hours and hours to get tan, what you're telling me. But we have such a beautiful color. In fact,
I know. I think I don't know if I've ever told you this, but when I came to the country in 1991, I was in California. I spending 3 months in New York. I was in California and Los Angeles, where we had a beautiful private banking office. And, typically fresh off the boat question that I asked my colleagues, lady colleagues and others in the office, what are you doing over the weekend? And they said, we are going to the beach, we'll get tan, we'll do this. And I said, but you already are fair. Why would you like to get tan? It was a classic, stupid, fresh off the boat question. And I'm not ashamed to say that, admit it. Then that is the time big, huge learning experience came. Because the lady colleague of ours told me, you damn Indians, you have no idea what a beautiful color you have, skin color you have, and what a beautiful skin you have. Since then, Ritesh ji, I have begun to say that I'm not brown, I'm naturally tan.
Right, exactly.
So the question here is that Indians have been least problematic to the country. We have never learned the art of asking. We are very satisfied, content with our fate, our life, that God has given us everything. We don't need to ask. But if you don't ask,
you don't get
you lose out when a cantankerous person or country begins to abuse you. And that's where I want to come to the second part of the conversation is that Ro Khanna, your competitor, Ro Khanna is member of Pakistan caucus, a country. I mean, I have lived and I've seen the things from very close quarters. That country doesn't mean well to India. It just doesn't mean well to India. India has tried its hardest best to maintain an amicable relationship, but these people have been continuously attacking us in every single way. For Ro Khanna, I hope someday he comes on the program and explains his stand. The very fact that he has joined Pakistan caucus, if his intent is to use the word Sudharna hai Pakistan ko, if they want to change the Pakistani perception and realities with India, let me ask the question, what have you achieved? And you were part of Bernie Sanders' campaign where every statement was anti-India. So who is writing you if you're part of that process? I want to ask Ro Khanna, and I want you to educate if you are aware of it. Has he ever asked the Pakistan caucus, what are you doing to protect the minority rights in Kashmir or minority rights in their own country? I want to ask Ro Khanna, have you ever told Imran Khan to do or not to do certain things against India. On the contrary, he made anti-India statements where Prime Minister Modi fixed a problem which was at its door for 60 plus years, which the previous governments didn't. And when he fixed the problem in a most humanitarian way, these people were talking about the human rights of Muslims, but not the human rights of Sikhs, Buddhists, Christians, and Hindus who were suffering in Pakistan and Afghanistan and Bangladesh. Your thoughts?
Thank you so much, Vibhuti Ji, for bringing this topic. Actually, when Rukh Khanna joined the Pakistan caucus, 230 Indian organizations who supported Roh asked him to step down. He did not. In fact, since he has joined, the torture on minorities in Pakistan, which include Hindus, Christians, Sikh brothers, and everyone, it has increased. As soon as a girl becomes 13-year-old in Pakistan, the father is worried that she will be abducted, raped, and then she will be converted into Islam. Every second day or third day, I receive one or other message from the people that families are suffering there.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
we have raised so many questions to Rukh Khanna, asking him, please ask your Pakistan caucus member to take care of this. And you will not believe it, Vibhuti Ji, I have never ever got any response. Never ever he has raised a single voice against the Pakistan as part of Pakistan caucus members that Pakistan, you need to stop doing this thing against minorities. Now, Vibhuti Ji, on the other side, what you have correctly described, my wife is a Kashmiri Hindu, and I know that 65 years, how much they have suffered. They are burned alive, and not a Indian government had not done single thing at that time, especially the Congress government, what we had. Today, the current government has taken great step, which was supposed to be done long time back, by giving the honor of all the Kashmiris, by giving the honor to all the people to live their life. And by removing whatever he has done for the people, now this guy, Rukh Khanna, he went against Modi ji and said, why you did this? Not only this part, he is against NRC, he's against CAA. And today I can see even Joe Biden, he asked a question, same question. I don't understand what is wrong with the people, why they cannot see the CAA and NRC, they are meant for the people who are suffering outside. And this government is helping them by bringing them and allowing them to live their life instead of living the life in the deep torture in the countries like Pakistan where they are suffering. So in fact, humanity and everything is completely dead. And we are so helpless that we are not able to do anything for these people. And this is where I want to fight for the people where they can live their life. And I can say, Vibhuti Ji, everyone has one life. And
Absolutely.
it's very sad to see when the person who is selling his children just for the food, because what the Pakistan government did, they did not offer these Christians, Hindus, and all the people food during this COVID virus or any kind of help. So desperate father, he end up like putting his children for sale. In this 20th century, are we kidding this? Where are we?
I'm aware of the remarkable tragedy that minorities have gone through in Pakistan, and it really annoys me. If there was one reason I would not vote for Rukh Khanna, would be his total failure in addressing the real concerns of minorities in Pakistan who are probably belonging to his faith and his religion, and other minorities, Buddhists, Christians, and Sikhs, and everybody else. Now that brings me to a very important point you said. You said the Democratic Party, as I try to analyze, as a banker, I've dealt with money matters all my life, but I also understand that the politics, business, economics, society, they are all interconnected. You cannot ignore the importance of politics and political decision making that shapes the life of people, political leadership. So when, say, for example, I noticed a very interesting trend here. The Democratic Party is playing the same vote bank game that the Congress Party plays in India. And it triggered in me after the Black Lives Matter erupted the way it did here. Protest turned into riots, riots into violence, violence into vandalism, vandalism into occupation. CHOP in Seattle, you must have heard about that. And now they are destroying the history of America for whatever it is, change the history. My question here is, what came to my mind is that Joe Biden, the entire Democratic leadership, they were beneficiaries of 90% of the Black votes going to Democratic Party. Why there is dissatisfaction in the Black community? And who should be blamed for that? What did they do? What did the Democrats do for the Black community? It's the same thing, eerily enough, in India, where Muslims have voted en bloc for Congress Party, and they are the unhappy lot. They say we have not achieved whatever the dreams and aspirations. We are the sufferers. My question here is again: is the Democratic Party playing a game of vote bank where politically your vote bank has to be poor to vote for you because you only promise things that you don't do for them? So that's the important point for everybody to understand. The Democratic Party makes promises. And, as, famous author said, that it's very easy to promise to give what you don't have to, or you don't have the money to do so. So you can promise. Promise is cheap. Your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing this up, Vibhuti Ji. I can tell you, this is pure vote bank play. I can give you one very recent example which you brought up earlier, that Joe Biden recently gave the statement that he will lift the H-1B ban as soon as he becomes president. Now, sir, think of it this way. He was under Obama for 8 years. Did he remove the country quota stuff so that the people who are suffering already for so long, so that he can actually, they can help and work? In fact, today when we look into this ban, the ban is for the new H-1B coming from the outside US. It's not for the existing one. Those who are already there, they will already be getting their H-1B renewed, and they will be continue to work. The one other thing is the temporary what the President Trump has stopped, just so that the 30 million people who became unemployed, let's give them the opportunity instead of bringing another people. And by the way, those students who are already there, they can still get their H-1B, those who are already there as a part of it. So looking into the part, Democrats, when you talk about, sir, about the Black people, 90% of Black voted for them. What happened? Nothing. They still live in poverty. Their whole game is to play ultra-socialist agenda. They give them little bit rice. They give them little bit this thing. They make you so dependent. They build the parameter across you, so your mind will not work. You are dependent on Democrat for everything because of the socialist agenda. And this is where exactly happening with the Black people. And they keep on going down and down. Technically, those people have the same opportunity anyone coming from the outside. This country never ever differentiate between anyone. But because of the socialists, they become so much dependent that many of them, they don't want to work hard. They know that they are getting the food. What is the reason why we should stand up, why we should work for 10 hours, why we should do this way when we are getting it based on the color of the skin? And this is where it is so sad to see. But I'm happy with the BLM movement. I'm with them. I support them. Only thing is they should not do the rights. They should raise their voice and work towards the progress, and let's fix.
But that is the important point you raise here. The Black Lives Matter has become a cause. And if you look at it from their point of view, you definitely sympathize with that issue, the way they're facing discrimination and whatever else is there going on. But the people who caused riots, in my personal opinion, I don't think that the Blacks who were protesting for Mr. Gray's sad killing were wanting to do riots. But the rioters who got in there, they were not Black people's sympathizers, because they use that moment to attack small businesses or big businesses or shops where they didn't realize that if you smash a store in Madison Avenue in Manhattan, the people who are working there, they are not rich. You took away their jobs. You hurt the businesses that were operating mom and pop shops or small businesses, and you caused the death of Black people in the CHOP region and other places. This is where the American awakening has to happen. People like you and I need to step up and call the bluff out that you cannot destroy something saying that I'm protecting a democracy. Now, that is the important part here, and I will come back to that again. But there is a thought process running in my mind, and I wanted to bounce it with you, is that Mr. Trump is a remarkably controversial, unpredictable president the United States has ever seen. And he was not a politician. He may have affiliation in Democratic Party or fought the election as a Republican. And I don't think he ever thought he was going to win, but he won against a very formidable rival called Hillary Clinton. But there is one thing which I have suggested to his supporters, and I suggest to you here, is that politics is all about expanding your base. So if there are 43%, 44%, or whatever percent is your base, you want to expand your base. So while Mr. Trump's base is very strongly supporting him, because he has not given any, he has not been responsible for any war. He is not responsible for the virus. He is not responsible for the market collapse. He is not responsible for the loss of jobs. My state of New York is responsible for 25% of US cases and 25% of almost that much percentage as deaths related to coronavirus. My question is, if you were to advise him to race in the final lap of the next 100 days of election, what would you say to him to do that it encourages people to vote for you?
Thank you so much. So let me, I have four
and
steps.
Believe it or not, I'm that deplorable who voted for Trump.
So one thing I want to tell you about Trump, he puts America first. And this is where actually my heart goes to with him. Up till now, $480 billion trade deficit with some of the countries. Every year, they are taking American money out from our system and are getting benefit. I think he's the one who has started talking which make more sense for America and American people than anyone else in the past. Now, let's look into this part for the different thing. First of all, let's look into the stock market. It was not the Trump fault when the COVID virus came. But this is the first president who convert and turn around so fast that the housing market did not fall. They came up with a very innovative ideas of forbearance as well as a delay on the payment. They also came up with a very excellent idea for PPP program where the small medium businesses, they got the government funding. They come up with a very creative ideas of putting the people on the payroll even they lose the job. And the people, those who lost the job, they came up with a creative idea of paying them $600 extra per week so that they can sustain and continue to make their mortgage payments and continue to live their life. None of the past president has done this. And when we look into this part, you see the market, it fell down and come back again. We are actually, NASDAQ was the highest in the history and it's crossed the 10,000 number. So in fact, overall, looking into the economy side, I think he is more creative than anybody else. With respect to the COVID virus, something which I like to suggest that everybody need to maintain the social distancing and everyone need to wear masks because the virus is real. And in fact, some social distancing as well as the open guidelines, which will have like restaurants, they need to have more precautions, cleanliness and everything for the people who are coming in so that they will feel safe. Companies who are bringing their employees back, they have to test the people for their temperature as well as for the COVID, as well as the third one, the seniors, those who are more risk to this COVID virus, suggest to stay home till we have the concrete medicine, and children. So senior and children should stay home. So this is the what I will do differently if I'm given the power.
Great.
Another thing is
sorry, you were complete your
yeah.
sentence. Yeah.
Also, like defunding police, what my opponent Rokhana wants to do, I will never ever do that part. In fact, I really want police to become more responsible. Some psychological training need to be given so that they can understand the people. If someone is suffering, they cannot put their knee on the neck and then forcibly try to do the thing, and that person is unarmed. So we need to give them the training. But at the same time, because of one bad fish, we cannot like bad apple. We assume everybody is bad. That is not the right way. We have to work.
I totally agree with you on that. The death was remarkably tragic, and Mr. Gray did not have to lose his life.
Exactly.
And one thing is very important here, and I think the American people will rise up to the understanding, and that's very important. There are bad apples everywhere. There are bad technology guys, there are bad doctors, there are bad bankers, there are bad politicians.
Yes.
There is a bad element. There is an element that wants to make a quick buck, and they will do whatever it takes.
Yes.
For that reason, you can't stop the system from working. I'm totally aghast. Let me put it this way to you. Because economic prosperity, and as a banker, I can tell you, when we lend money to people, we are always concerned when the money is going to come back. It is a very important thing to remember that system must work. Law and order must work. If you have a complete lawlessness, as Democrats are talking about, I mean, I'm totally aghast. The irresponsible statements coming from the Democratic Party, it beats the hell out of me, is that you cannot have economic growth if there is no police, there is no law and order, and legal system doesn't work. And that's the challenge which America is facing. And this is where I always say that Mr. Trump, he has a challenge. Because in 1991, when I came here, I was working with American Express. I had a very senior high-level position here. And I followed politics very closely. Every single presidential candidate had been promising since 91 till Trump came that we will fix the swamp in Washington. None did. None did. They all became part of the structure.
Exactly.
Trump was the one person who began to fix things. And that is where he has built enemies around. And if I were his advisor, I would have said that he should have taken a cue from Modi's School of Political Economy. Modi has not once, in the 6th year of his prime ministership, has made negative statements about his opposition. And I wish Mr. Trump had done that. That's the reason why people blame him that he is a bad guy. But he's not a bad guy. He has not started any war. Think about it, economics point of view. NATO members are today paying their dues. Billions have been collected. Do you think European NATO members are happy about it? Definitely not. He called out Islamic terrorism for what it was. Do you think the Islamic countries are happy about it? Definitely not. He called out China. And he said in his many speeches that I don't blame the Chinese, I blame our people because we were bad negotiators. So when he's a businessman, and he began to see the flaws in the process, and he began to fix that. And that's the reason many people say Apple Cart is upset, and they would want him to be away. Now, there's a very important political element to that. If you look at the world around us right now, 3 most prominent democracies, USA, India, and UK, all the 3 political leaders of this country are right of center. They're pro-business, they're pro-economy. They're all talking about country first. Now, Mr. Trump has already brought about major changes in Supreme Court and 200 judges appointed. The liberal dream disappeared with Mrs. Hillary Clinton losing. The liberal left is scared that if Trump wins the 2nd term, because Modi has 4 more years, Boris Johnson has 4 more years, if Trump has 4 more years, the liberal dream will vaporize, at least for another 4 years. And that's the reason the desperation is very big on the Democratic side. I'm totally astonished about the latest accusation that the intelligence agencies had warned President Trump that Russia was bribing the Taliban to kill American soldiers. Now that is really sad, because Hillary Clinton's recent YouTube thing that I saw myself, in which she justifies and talks about that United States created Taliban, Al-Qaeda, and Mujahideen to fight the Russians in Afghanistan and throw them out. Now, it's a very simple point. The Russians don't have to bribe Taliban after what US did, walking away and everything else. So Taliban doesn't have to be paid by Russia to kill American soldiers. Haqqani Group has been doing it. They have been taking money from America and sending American soldiers in body bags. That's the point people of America must understand, that Trump is trying to bring back people, because that nonsense must stop. Your thoughts?
No, I 100% agree. The time has come. We have to bring our troops back, our people back. War is not a solution for anything. And what Trump is doing, he is looking as an external candidate, because up till now, all these deep state people, let me define it this way, all these deep state people, they are already playing their games. These are the people who moved so much infrastructure from America to outside country that because of their personal agenda. Today, America is dependent on so many things for the outside country. Even I was very surprised, the mask and all those things, even the basic things, we were dependent on the outside world. Mm-hmm. What Trump is doing, coming in, looking into the factors, he's trying to bring back our people, trying to end the war, because he himself has not started any war. And instead of that, putting hard-earned money towards the people. Think of it, which government has paid $600 per week to unemployed person? That's come out to be close to $2,400 per week plus unemployment benefit, whatever they are getting, to improve the life of the people. So I 100% with the Trump on the part that all the different groups who are playing the game, taking the money from America and then killing our own American people and then bringing it back here, I think it's very sad to see. And I don't believe like many, to be frank, like if you look at Trump, he's in the power for the 3 years, of 3.5 years. Look into the Democrats, they are in the power for last 20 years, what they have done to this country. And to be frank, like if this continues for another 4 years, if the Democrats come back in the power and they bring back their old agenda back, I can tell you that America will be finished, because they are more pro-Islamist, pro-terrorist. When President Trump has killed that Iranian general who has killed and tortured so many millions of people, I can tell you, I don't have the exact counting for Irani, I forgot his name. Democrats asked to raise the American flag lower because the terrorist is killed. I was very surprised why they are so much favoritism to the terrorism and the other states who are killing American and who are going against the American people and everything. So this is a time I hope that all Americans, they will wake up, they see what liberals are trying to do, how they are putting their country for sale to these Islamist people. I think time has come to change and fight.
And I totally agree with you on that, because it's important, because United States is a very great democracy, wonderful economy. That's why people want to come. Even those who hate America want to come to America. So the question here is very simple, is that I sincerely hope and pray that Democratic Party comes to its senses and understands that what made the country great were factors that they cannot dilute. There is a very nice statement by Swami Vivekananda when he was asked to define what is poison. He said, anything in excess. Today, what we are seeing, Democratic Party asking to disband police, defund police, and Minneapolis did that actually. And they are allowing people, then Seattle mayor and police chief who were supporting the CHOP, who captured downtown Seattle, they removed them today. So the question is which you should ask all the voters, do you want CHOP to come in your town? And Silicon Valley will be the most significantly hit if the bizarre nature of the entire thing continues. So the message, the party of love, and that's what I say, the party of love is full of hate and hatred for a man. And that man, hatred for Trump is making them go anti-United States. So the point here is another thing which I wanted to check with you is, how does the national issue and your local issue vary from each other? So what are the local, you see, politics is local and it's global, many saying goes about that. So what are the local issues? Silicon Valley is a very prosperous place. It's free, it's remarkably democratic. How are you surviving in that atmosphere? What is your constituency structure? Because you are, I know Indians are there in plenty, but you are not representing only Indians. You are trying to represent Chinese, non-Indians, non-Chinese, and everybody there. How are you addressing the local root causes?
So thank you so much for asking. And Vibhuti Ji, I can tell you, when we look into my constituency, there are about close to 9% people who are Indians, 13% Chinese, 8% Vietnamese, close to 40% Americans and white Caucasian, and then 4 to 5% they are Filipinos, and the rest are Afghanis. So this is one of the society which is multicultural. And I'm coming from the background where I work for the Shankar and work with the different cultures to fund our programs. So in fact, I understand their issues and challenges. One of the biggest, let me listen, there are many issues, because what happened, the Ro Khanna, my opponent, he was working for Bernie Sanders for last 1.5 years. He ignored our district. Homelessness, out of top 4 cities, top 5 cities of homelessness, 4 are right here in California. When we look into traffic congestion, it is so worse, no doubt thanks to coronavirus, now it is, nobody is going out, but it is so worse that if you have to travel for the 5 miles, you spend about close to 1 hour, sometimes 1.5 hours to travel the small distance. Think of it, if we have fixed that traffic, people will have the time to spend those with the children. The third thing is, beside the homelessness, schools are very poor performing. When we look into the districts here, these school unions, they pay and they fund these politicians. And these politicians don't open the mouth and measure the teacher based on their performance, instead of they say based on the length of the time. And I can tell you, like schools, they can do much better job and than what they are doing today. And that's the whole reason why we see all this ACFI and all those things come into picture. Another thing is, because of the multicultural society and everything, people are very divided. And now these politicians, they are further dividing them by bringing the race play and the race thing. And Vibhuti Ji, this all need to be stopped. Everyone, as a human being, everyone is equal. Everyone needs to be given equal opportunity. Everyone who is behind, and I can tell you, when we talk about the behind thing, not only the black people, but there are Asian American also, and then there are many whites also, those who are poor and they are behind. So in fact, our movement need to be, instead of Black Lives Matter, all life matter. And all these people who are behind, we have to help them. And we have to help them and take them to the next level. And this is where actually I want to pledge to bring the difference in the life of people. Otherwise, I have no interest to play the game here. My whole interest is how I can improve the life. That's what the goal is.
As I would suggest to you, one simple thing: don't make promises that you can't keep, and definitely not the promises that is easy to break. So that will be your distinguishing element for going forward in your election campaign. I wish you well, definitely. And I really enjoyed having this conversation. Like every conversation must come to an end. We are coming to an end of our conversation. But the important part here is, as a parting gift, I will share with you that given the multicultural element of your constituency, share with them one thing. And I have said this on my TV program, it's not new. And this learning comes from my own Sanatana Dharma practices. That coronavirus, if it has taught us one thing, that it is race neutral, it is age neutral, it is income neutral, it is national boundaries neutral, it is religion neutral, right? Gender neutral. In every sense of the term, Mother Earth and Mother Nature has taught us one thing, that our nose performs the same function as anybody else's nose, right? A child takes 9 months to be born, regardless of whichever religion, faith, country, nationality, race you belong to. And we all die because of myocardial infarction.
Right.
So if this is, and God is the most mischievous guy, in my opinion. He makes all of us go down on our knees to pray. So when we have such a wonderful commonality of purpose as human beings, why are we fighting in the name of religion, color, caste? And that's the unity of purpose that humans need to have. And that's the essential training of our faith. The reason why Indians get along very well with anyone is because whether you are a Shaivite, Vishnuvite, or a worshipper of Ganesh or Kali or Durga, nobody tells anybody else that they are inferior or my God is superior or my way is the better way. That's the message of universal purpose that you can reach to your constituency. And I wish you well. And I have taken your promise, and you will keep the promise, that when you win your election, you will come to me. We will have a talk again.
No, definitely. Thank you so much, Vibhuti Ji. And I can tell you in my past non-profit life and work, always try to, whatever I can do, I can say. Whatever I cannot do, I cannot say. And I'd like to thank you so much for bringing me to your audience and giving me this opportunity to speak. And it's a great pleasure talking with you for this 45 minutes. And,
thank you.
I'm looking forward to come back again to your show.
Definitely. And I with this, my purpose is that more and more Indians enter the political mainstream. So whether you are a Democrat or Republican, come, let's talk. Let the world know what is important for you and why we need to become part of the mainstream. Thank you, viewers. Have a great 4th of July weekend and a great week ahead. See you next week. Frankly speaking with Vibhuti Jha.
And thank you. Thank you so much, Vibhuti Ji. And the last, I'll complete this sentence. I always say that my name is Ritesh Tandon, running for Congress for District 17. My district includes San Jose, Santa Clara, Sunnyvale, Cupertino, Fremont, Newark, Alviso. Support me, vote for me. Your voice is lost in the Washington, and I want to be your voice in Washington. Please help me.
God bless you. God bless you, and go win.
Thank you. Thank you.